Hello and welcome to the cross contour line drawing for 7th grade. For this project, you are going to be creating a realistic cross contour drawing of an object focusing on line and composition. While most projects you can do anything you want to, and if you look at this one, you can see there's an example of a person and they're playing this saxophone. Notice the saxophone looks really cool. Sometimes things that aren't objects can look a little weird when we start adding our cross contour lines. So for this project, I'd love for you to pick an object because I want you to love your piece, and they tend to turn out better when we do cross contour line drawings. We're going to study a couple different artists for this project: Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Dürer, and then there's this really cool artist named Sean Koss. He's more recent. He's doing work right now where he's advocating for awareness of mental disorders and phobias and things like that through art. So these are linked at the bottom so you guys can check those out as a class with your teacher. You're going to be using pen and ink. You can use a watercolor wash if you want to, depends on what your teacher wants to do. I'd like you to make it at least 8 by 10 or about a regular size sheet of paper. So you want to make sure that you pick an image that's high contrast that will really help you with this piece. So you have areas that are really dark and really light. That's going to really help. Your rubrics here, and we'll go over that more when you talk about the self-evaluation with your teacher on that class. These are some vocabulary words that you will need to know to understand this project. In class 1, in class 2, you're going to learn more about these words, and that's really going to help you understand what to do for this project. If right now you're like, I have no idea what a contour line is or a cross contour line is or line quality, that's fine. You're going to learn before the end of this project. No worries. For class 1, you're going to watch the video you're watching now, and you're going to brainstorm ideas of an object for this project. Think of something cool. Don't do something basic. Think of something that has lots of different textures or pieces in it, like that saxophone was really cool. If you have something cool laying around your house, even like flashlights are cool. Empty out your pockets and see what's inside. It could be like keys and some other things. But pick something that's different than anyone else in your class. You want to make sure you're doing something unique to you that you love. For example, I have this really cool hourglass at our house that I love, so I did that for this project as an example to show you guys. So you're going to brainstorm ideas and you're going to create 2 sketches using the rule of thirds. So the video's here so that you can understand how to use the rule of thirds. But here's some examples. So you're going to pick one idea. So let's say I'm doing my hourglass. Okay, these are 4 ideas. I'm only asking you to create 2 sketches. But see, I really zoomed in. I zoomed all the way out. I zoomed way in here. And then this one, I turned my paper in landscape or horizontal orientation to see what it would look like if it was laying down. And you can also see that I practiced with the pen and ink right on this sketch. So it's a great place to do that. Again, I'm only asking you to create 2, but these are just 4 ways you can alter the composition. So kind of keep that in mind as you go. So I made mistakes here. As you can see, I first started outlining with a pen. I was like, oh, that doesn't look good because it's going to look flat and I want it to look real, 3D. So I started not outlining and trying some different lines out. Make your mistakes here. That's what your sketchbook is for. All right, and these are the other steps, and we'll kind of talk about those as we get to our other classes as well. So again, for class 1, brainstorm ideas, pick one object that you're going to create, and draw 2 sketches in different compositions. Zoom out, zoom in, turn it in landscape, however you want to do that. For class 2, you're going to practice with the media. This is where you're also going to learn about these words more, okay? So this video right here is really great. It shows you visually what a contour line is, what a cross contour line is, value, and line quality. You'll be amazed at what can happen with those things. So you're going to watch this first, and then just in your sketchbook or notebook, just define these 4 words. You can do it as a class, you can do it in a group, whatever your teacher decides, but you have to know these words for this project to work. So you have to make sure that you just jot down a little bit of information about them so you know what they are. Then you're going to create a small sphere, cone, and cylinder using the cross contour lines. So you can see right here, I have some examples. And when you look on this, you can see here is a sphere, there's a cone, and there's a cylinder. These aren't done with a ruler, they're not perfect, and you don't have to do that either. But you want to learn how to use the cross contour lines. So notice in the sphere it's the circle, and then all the lines contour, which means they curve with the outline of the figure. Okay, so those cross contour lines help define the form or make it look more 3D. So you're going to do a sphere, a cone, and a cylinder in your sketchbook. And then you're going to do a pear. I also have an apple here. If you feel a little bit more advanced, you can try the apple. It's a little trickier. But with the pear, you draw the outside of the pear. And then you draw the lines coming down, and then you draw these. So these were all the lines on the inside of the pear are cross contour lines. The outline is just contour lines. But see how it helps make it look more real than if it was just an outline. And then some lines are thicker, and that's where I've adjusted the line quality. So if the light source was coming from here, this would be the lighter area, and those would be the darker areas. Okay? So that's what you're going to do today. Watch the video, define your words, sphere, cone, and cylinder, and then a pear. All right, get started. All right, for class 3, you're going to do your pen textures. You're going to select 3 of these 9. So there's 9 here. And notice they're almost like a value scale. So let's just say you decide to do the top 3. Okay, that's fine. So just draw 3 small boxes in your sketchbook. This one's really fun. It's just scribbling. So you do lots of scribbling close together here, and then you do less scribbling farther apart to make a lighter value. So it's darker, gradually going into lighter. And you could use that in your piece. This one would be really good for my hourglass to do the sand, right? This is called stippling when you do lots of little dots. Lots of little dots close together where you want it to be dark, less dots farther apart where you want it to be light. Same thing with this, okay? You have cross-hatching here, lots of cross-hatching to less cross-hatching, okay? You can basically create a texture with anything. If you decide to do shoes, the bottom of the Vans, or like the bottom piece, looks really cool with this texture. So you're just going to pick 3 of these and do those in your sketchbook. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pick one of these spheres and you're going to create it. So this is scribbling. Notice the outline was done with pencil, but not with pen. Okay, you don't want to outline or to look flat no matter what you do. This one is cross-hatching. And this one is stippling. Okay, so notice how I created these where you can kind of see the pencil line. I left those intentionally so you could see it's done with a pencil. And then when we're done, we would erase all of the pencil lines and only leave the pen. Okay, so you're going to pick one of those. All right, so 3 of these, 1 of those to do in your sketchbook. Okay. Then what I want you to do with the remaining time in class is to practice on your 2 sketches, just like you saw me do with mine. Think about some textures you'd like to use. Where would they work? Where would they not work? Like this scribbling is really cool, but it doesn't work everywhere. Same thing with all of these. You want to make sure you think about what you're going to use where in your piece. So use the remaining time of class to figure that out. Oh, right. Class 4 is you're going to map out your final piece. Notice this is really light. If you're sitting in the back of the classroom right now, you're probably like, I can't even see anything. And that's good. You want to draw it as light as you can until you know it's in the right spot. And then you're going to use pen. You're not even going to draw dark with pencil at all because the pencil needs to be erased like it wasn't even there. One other thing I did that I love is that I outlined where the highlights will be, the areas that I want to keep white. Because as I started adding my lines in my sketchbook, I realized, oh, it's going to be hard to remember where to stop, so I just sketched them out lightly. When I get done adding the lines with pen, I can just erase the pencil lines and it'll look good. Okay, I would say no pen today unless you're like way far ahead. Draw it lightly and have your teacher and someone else check it out to make sure everything's in the right spot. You'd rather learn now that something's in the wrong spot than after you start adding pen. Class 5 to 7 is where you're going to start adding your lines. If you're stuck, you're like, oh, I'm not sure what this is going to look like with pen, try with pencil first. If you like it, ink it. If you don't like it, then simply erase it and try a different texture or a different type of line. So you notice how I left the highlights white, right? And I looked at this and some of them are overlapped, lots of lines, less lines. Notice I didn't outline, right? If I would have outlined, it would look flat, like 2D, and I want it to look as realistic as I can. Okay, notice down here these areas are outlined. See how it looks real flat? These areas are not. So it's not. It looks more realistic with the cross contour lines that help make it look more 3D or define the form. All right. Class 8 is going to be your self-evaluation. Remember, it's not due today, but you want to look at your project as if it was due today so you can really see where you are and what you need to do to improve the quality of your piece. Your teacher will go over the rubric with you. You'll write this in your sketchbook with your summary, and that's really going to help you improve the quality of your work. This class, you'll also want to continue inking after you finish your self-evaluation. Class 9 and beyond. Make sure you just glance at the rubric at the start of class so you make sure you know what you're missing, where you're aiming. Ask other students what you think of your work. That's really going to help you, improve as an artist. Make sure when you're done, you sign it in the bottom right-hand corner with the year and turn it in however your teacher has decided this process will take place. If you finish early, check this out. I know it's not October, but this is a really cool challenge you could still do to improve as an artist. Here's an example I did with my class one year for Inktober. It's a tattoo gun, and you can kind of see I added this because I messed up. So I just added a splash. You just kind of have to go with your mistakes. But notice here how I used lots of different pen textures depending on the area. So this was just a solid fill. This I added just simple lines, cross hatching here, contour lines here. So you really just have to see what works for your object that you select. So here are some examples of like this one is used with just the same line quality. It's all the same thickness and it's really flat. This one you can see the artist added the cross contour lines and see how it looks way more realistic. You can see it looking more 3D because the lines curve the way your hand would. And this is an example of line quality. Look at the difference. All the same thickness of line, and look where they added some thicker lines. It just helps it look more 3D with just that very little bit of change. These are also some other things. If you're having trouble, you can do some value scales this way in any texture, just from dark to light. Here's some more for you to look at. And here's some other good quality examples. This artist did a pepper. This is the first time she ever used pen and ink or cross contour lines. Great, great job. This artist did a really great job with the violin. Notice the different textures that she used. And this artist also, really great job with the lines and everything like that to create this controller and the different things they added to show the difference in the shadow versus the controller cord and things like that. So you want to think about that as you're working. These were all students from Richmond County Schools that did these three. And then these are some other good quality examples for you to look at. This is some work by Albert Dürer. He was a famous printmaker. Awesome. Da Vinci, and you guys can look at these with your teacher and Albert Dürer's work. And then this is Sean Koss's website. His work is creepy, but I know like a lot of my students have liked it over the years. He does really cool things. So maybe your teacher will want to show you some of these, or you can check him out on your own time. Some of it is a little scary, like I said, but he's really advocating to raise awareness for people that have issues and mental disorders and kind of what they're going through for people to understand better instead of just judging them. This talks about the rule of thirds right here, and there's the video about that as well. All right, so I'm super excited to see what you create for this cross contour line drawing. So it's class 1. Again, you're going to brainstorm ideas and start working on your 2 sketches. All right, enjoy.